So we have a bunch of questions still from the live room, and I'm going to try to get to as many of them as I can. The next question that I have from the live room is from Thomas, and he said, I'm wondering what difference in investing philosophy you have, or I guess apply, during inflated asset evaluations combined with inflation versus periods of deflation and low interest periods.
The answer to that is pretty simple. We think that the market is the best estimate of the right price. We don't try to time markets. There are great evidences. The people who try to time markets because they think it's overvalued fail with great persistence. I'll give you a great recent example. In 2013, a guru, I'll use that term, Jeremy Grantham, very smart guy, runs and was founder of GMO Investments, which manages tens of billions. He had a great track record. He said the market is 60 to 70% overvalued because valuations, PEs were higher, historical averages, and he was predicting a crash. I wrote a paper on explaining why I thought he was wrong, but that's not important. Anyone who wants it could find it on the Advisor Perspectives website, or ask Adam, who will get you a copy of that paper. But the important thing is 2013 turned out to be one of the best years ever for the market. And he kept repeating it every year, 15, 16, right through. And he just came out again and called for it last year and again this year. And of course, last year was a great year. The decade was a great decade. And the fact of the matter is that, as Peter Lynch, maybe the greatest fund manager of all time, he was 100% invested all of the time. And the reason was, he said, more money has been lost anticipating bear markets than ever lost in them. And to me, the great anomaly maybe in all of finance is that if you ask people who they think the greatest investor of all time is, they would almost unanimously say Warren Buffett. And yet, not only do they ignore Buffett's advice, they do the opposite. Buffett has repeatedly told people, my favorite time frame is forever. He has said, never try to time the market, but if you can't resist, buy when everyone else is panicked and sell when everyone is greedy. And we know investors tend to do exactly the opposite. There's no evidence that smart people, can outguess the market. And one great example is there was once a study of what are called tactical asset allocation funds. Those are mutual funds run by experts who move money between asset classes depending upon what they think the economic environment will be, inflationary, deflationary, or whatever. And the study found that not one single one of those added value. And Vanguard, really smart, and they don't have the burden of high expenses. They ran a tactical asset allocation fund for a long time. And I think it was in 2011, they shut it down, merged it into another vehicle because it had failed. So the evidence suggests the best thing to do is what we've repeatedly said during this time frame, is have a well thought out plan that incorporates the certainty that we're going to live through different economic regimes, and we just can't predict, nor can anyone else, when they will occur. So we want to have, if you will, an all-weather portfolio that you can live with through all periods. If you want to take one piece of advice, take Warren Buffett's advice. I recently heard him say he hadn't read an economic forecast or listened to one in at least 25 years.
Larry's warning about more money has been lost in the anticipation of the bear market than the bear market reminds me of the wise words of Emanuel Lasker. Emanuel Lasker was the world chess champion for 24 years, which is the longest period any individual was the world chess champion. And he used to say that the threat was more dangerous than the execution. So that's perfectly consistent. And I've never heard it put that way, Larry, but I really like that.
Yeah, Peter Lent's pretty smart guy. Best track record maybe of any mutual fund investor over a long time frame. And he was always 100% invested.
Jim, do you think Magnus Carlsen will give the guy with the current record a run for his money? I think he's been the world champion since 2013 now, right?
There's no way anybody's going to be world chess champion for 24 years,
No?
I believe, anymore. Although Carlsen's wonderful, you know.
Okay, sorry, that was completely unrelated.
The competition is too tough today.
For sure.